The village had never seen anything like it. From early morning, the narrow dirt road was alive with noise. Hooves striking the ground, wooden wheels creaking, voices calling out, and bells chiming faintly in the distance. One carriage rolled in, then another, and another, until it felt as though the road itself could barely hold the weight. Shelina stood outside her small stone house, her dark eyes wide with wonder. "Rich mom, poor mom," murmured an old woman. She was already tugging at her brother's sleeve. "David," she whispered urgently, "people are moving into the big house." David looked up from tying his worn sandals. "Really?" "Come on, quick," Shelina said, already halfway down the path. "You have to see the loads of stuff they've brought, 10 carriages full." "Wait, I'm coming," David laughed. Behind them, their mother's voice floated through the doorway. "Shelina, don't go too far." "Mother," Shelina called back. The children ran until the big house came into view, a grand, pale structure perched proudly on the hill. Servants hurried back and forth, unloading trunks, crates, furniture wrapped in cloth, and sacks so full they bulged. David's eyes grew round. "My father says the man who owns the house is a big officer with the king." "And that doll," Shelina said breathlessly. "Oh, David, there was a sack full of toys, a whole sack." That evening, Shelina could barely sit still at dinner. "Mother," she said, "their house is huge, bigger than the church." Her mother smiled gently. "Darling, it does not matter how many toys you have. What matters are the friends you have." Shelina hesitated. "With a mother like that, I wonder how many friends those kids will have." She looked so rude. That night, lanterns glowed brightly in the garden of the big house. Music drifted down the hill, light and cheerful. Shelina pressed her face against the gate with a cluster of village children. "Look at the number of people coming in." "Let them stay," a woman said coolly. She stepped forward, tall, well-dressed. This was Mrs. Stewart. "We're all here," a child said nervously. "Let's play hopscotch." "Yay!" others cheered, relieved. Soon, laughter filled the air. Children ran across the lawn, skirts fluttering. Frank and Maria joined in. "Frank! Maria!" Mrs. Stewart snapped suddenly. "Stop running around like that. Take everyone to the toy room." Shelina watched as the rich children disappeared inside. "They're having so much fun," David whispered. Inside the house, Maria stared out a window. "What were all of you doing?" her mother asked. "Playing," Maria said. "Enough," Mrs. Stewart said. "Even outside this house, those children embarrass us. This place is dull." Maria sighed. "Can't we play with those kids?" "Absolutely not," Frank frowned. "At least let us go on a picnic." Morning brought change. "Fine," Mrs. Stewart said at breakfast. "You may go out today, if you finish everything." Sebastian loaded the baskets carefully into the carriage. "Bread, cheese, biscuits, and the cake," Frank reminded him. Sebastian laughed softly. "You can take all the food you want. Still, enjoy yourselves." The carriage rolled away. The lake appeared suddenly, like a secret revealed, wide, calm, and shimmering under the sun. Sebastian spread a cloth near the shore. "Your picnic is ready." "Thank you," Frank said. "Let's explore." The children ran along the edge of the lake. Soon they spotted familiar faces. "Hide and seek," someone shouted. "I'll count," Frank said eagerly. Frank turned, covered his eyes, and began. 1, 2, 3. He stepped forward and stopped. A girl stood ahead, clutching her knee. Tears streaked her dusty face. Frank tried to follow, gripping the tree trunk, but his foot slipped. He cried out and fell hard. Pain shot through his ankle. "Frank!" Maria knelt instantly. Shelina rushed forward. "I'll bind it." She tore off her own shirt without hesitation. "I'll bind it so it won't swell." "But that's your shirt," Frank protested. "Doesn't matter," Shelina said. "We'll share what we have." She handed him an apple, freshly picked. They walked together, laughing softly, tired but happy. Mrs. Stewart stared at the cloth around Frank's foot. The next day she stood at Shelina's door. "As thanks, I've brought a replacement." "That won't be necessary. A storm is coming." Mrs. Stewart shook her head. The wind rose by evening. Dark clouds rolled in fast. "Mother isn't home," Frank whispered. "Quick, inside." Thunder cracked, rain poured. The children huddled together, shaking. When the storm passed, Mrs. Stewart rushed in, pale and breathless. "My babies!" She pulled them close. Shelina spoke softly. "We stayed together." "Thank you," Mrs. Stewart said. Something inside her changed. For the first time, her voice held no sharpness, only relief. Shalina's mother poured the broth. Frank tasted it and smiled. "This is good," Maria nodded. The next morning, the village felt different. The big house no longer seemed distant or unapproachable. "Then let them play in the garden," Shalina's mother replied. Mrs. Stewart smiled, a real smile this time. Mrs. Stewart watched from a window, her heart lighter. Frank and Maria were never lonely again. And that is how a simple act of kindness bridged the gap between two worlds. See you next time for more stories.